Welcome, class. Today you're going to be studying Chapter 3, which deals with solving and transformations. So, in this chapter we will investigate three basic rigid transformations of geometric shapes, and we'll rewrite expressions that contain products. And then we'll also learn methods for solving complex equations. So a few questions that we can ask ourselves throughout this chapter is, where will the new shape appear? How can I rewrite this expression? And how can I solve this equation? And this chapter is broken up into three sections. The first section is going to deal with rigid transformations, specifically flips, turns, and slide shapes, which we'll learn to be more reflections, rotations, and translations. And then we'll learn how these transformations to build new shapes and describe symmetry. We also will use some area models to rewrite products in what's called binomial and other polynomial polynomials. So like if we're given 3x minus 2 times 4 plus x, how can we use an area model to rewrite that? And lastly, we will look at three methods for solving equations. These methods include rewriting, looking inside, and undoing. And we'll develop some different ways to solve complicated equations, and that include multiplication, fractions, and exponents. So what this is all building up to is that in Chapter 7, we'll apply our knowledge that we will gain between now and then of rigid transformations to that chapter. And we'll use rigid transformations to determine whether triangles are congruent, and we'll create flowcharts and demonstrate congruence and learn the condition for triangle congruency. And also in Chapter 7, you will also determine whether lines are parallel and perpendicular slopes for your study in coordinate geometry. And the skills that we gain here will continue to build up, and we'll look at absolute value and look at some multivariable equations later, and partly in Chapter 6 we also learn multiple strategies for solving systems of equations, and then we will extend that knowledge of solving for systems of equations into inequalities. So once again, you have been given kind of an overview for what you can expect at the end of the chapter. So if you turn to your notes that you received on the first day of school, you'll have kind of these rough ideas of some of the things that might be on the test. So that's kind of an introduction to the chapter as a whole. Now, more specifically to today's lesson, we'll be looking at lesson 3.1.1, and this lesson is dealing with spatial visualization and reflection. The objective today is to use spatial visualization skills to investigate reflections. And so, using an area model, you want to provide a picture of polynomial multiplication and visualize the act of picturing something in your mind. It's also helpful when you're working with shapes. In order to investigate and describe geometric concepts, it's useful to first visualize a shape or action. So, dealing with reflections, we can create many interesting shapes just off of reflection, and we'll kind of learn more about some of the characteristics of some of those shapes. Today we'll be visualizing in a variety of ways that will hopefully help you develop your ability to find reflections. And so as you work today, 3 questions you can be asking yourselves. How do we see it? How can we verify our answer? And lastly, how can we describe it? So how do we see it? How can we verify an answer? And how can we describe it? So these first couple questions, you don't need to write down. We'll just do it real quick as a class here. And we are going to be looking at these shapes and determining whether these 4 shapes can be made into a cube. Alright, so if we're interested in a cube, we want to ask ourselves, well, what are some characteristics of a cube? So ask yourself that real quick. What are some things you know about a cube? And you may want to pause the video right now to discuss this with a partner, and then come back. So, assuming you have discussed this, one of the things you may have determined is that a cube has at least 6 sides. And so with that knowledge by itself, you can eliminate a couple of these, right? You can eliminate D, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Scratch that. D's okay. But how about some of the other ones? Oh wait, how about over here A? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Only 5 sides. So A, we know it's not possible to make a cube because you only have the 5 sides. And how about C also? Well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 also. So we know right off the bat, before we even start folding these, that A and C are not even possible because they don't even have enough sides. Now you could explore B and D. Both of them would be able to give you a cube. But we'll leave that as it is right now. Now, moving on to question 2. Something you want to ask yourself is, what if you were to lift something up to a mirror, specifically some words, and what would those words look like? Would they change their appearance? If so, what would they now look like? So we're going to do that with 3 words. So right now, I'm going to pretend that this dotted line is a mirror, and so, because I got that mirror here, I am going to write what I see. And so, we see that these shapes, a pair. Now, that's kind of difficult to read, it's written backwards. And if we did the same thing with star over here, we would see, we might notice some things, but we may notice other things that we maybe didn't think about before. Right, because like in Geo, the first letter we did, the O, there's no issue there. It looked exactly the same. But as we continued, right, we had some things that were backwards. Now R and star, it's written backwards. A and T, well, these are written backwards. You can't tell. Well, if I did the wow, even though the whole thing's written backwards, it looks the same. And so now what I would like you to do, as a class, or in your partners and in your team, is to work on questions 3 and 4. Number 4, you'll have a handout. Once you get done with 4, you can work on homework problems 3.8 through 3.13. And once again, that homework is 3.8 to 3.13. But now you can just start asking yourself and your companions these questions that I found in 3.3 and 3.4. And these are the 2 problems that I'd like you to record today. And I hope you're having a great day now. talk with you later. Bye.